I think the first thing you need to ask before you even start applying for a British citizenship is, why do you want a British citizenship? Applying to become a citizen of another country is a big step. It's a huge step. At least it was for me. And I'm going to get into all of that in a bit. First of all, let me give you some of the reasons why you may want to apply for a British citizenship, especially if you've been in this country for a while and you already got your indefinite leave to remain. These are some of the reasons why you may want to apply or consider applying for a British citizenship. The first reason is having a British citizenship means that you can live in this country forever. Of course, there are certain instances where the British government can actually revoke your British citizenship, but that's another video. But everything being hunky-dory, no problems, having a British citizenship should mean that you're settled for life. Your status is now permanent. So that's the first advantage. The second advantage is that you'll be able to hold a British passport. Now, with a British passport, we all know that these passports are ranked. If you go on the internet and you Google rank my passport or something to do with the passport rankings, it will bring you a list of countries, their passports, and where they are in the world's rank. These ranks, what they mean is, depending on the rank of your passport, what that means is if your passport is ranked to be number 1, it means that passport is a powerful passport. It allows you to travel to more countries in the world. So British passport, actually, let me do that quickly. I should have done that before I started this video. Excuse me, just give me a quick second. So British passport ranking 2024. So yeah, according to Google, in 2024, the British passport is ranked number 5. So that's a good passport index. So just out of interest, let's just see which passport is the strongest in the world. So according to Google, Singapore is the strongest passport in the world as it stands as of March 2024. If you've got a Singaporean passport, then you're sorted, you're cool. It means your passport is the strongest in the world. So that's one of the reasons why you may want to consider having a British passport. Another reason why you may want to apply for British citizenship is that having British citizenship gives you full civic rights. What that means is you have the right to vote and to actually stand for public office. You can apply to be a mayor of your town or a member of parliament. So that is something that comes with having a British passport. So in my view, that's always a good thing. Another reason why you may want to consider applying for British citizenship is that you will have free NHS medical care if you're a British citizenship holder. You are entitled to free medical care here in the UK. Of course, there are other statuses as well that entitles you to medical care. But what I'm saying is having the British passport, it pretty much seals the whole deal. So that's another advantage of having a British passport. The last advantage I want to talk about in this video is that if you're a British citizen, you have no restrictions when it comes to work. You have a right to work. You can work pretty much anywhere. You can do pretty much any job as long as you're qualified for that job. So really, these are some of the advantages of becoming a British citizen. Now, do you remember the question I asked you at the beginning? Why do you want to become a British citizen? The reason I ask is because in my case, it took me a while to take that step or to take that leap to actually apply for my British citizenship. I had my indefinite leave to remain for more than 10 years, believe it or not. I know it's quite shocking for some people, but at the time, I was comfortable having the indefinite leave to remain. I was good. For me, I just felt it was a big step. I don't know, it was a psychological thing in my case because I felt at the time, I felt as if by applying to become a citizen of Britain, I was somehow betraying my own country, my original country, Zimbabwe. I don't really know why I felt like that at the time, but that is exactly how I felt. Another reason as well why I was a bit hesitant to apply for my British citizenship is because at the time, the government of Zimbabwe had not yet clarified the situation in terms of dual citizenship. So I wasn't quite sure where I stand if I applied for my British citizenship. So I didn't want to lose my rights in Zimbabwe. I wanted to be a Zimbabwean citizen and at the same time I had this decision to make. So I had to kind of weigh my options and just to investigate as to exactly what me applying for the British citizenship meant for me in terms of my relationship with Zimbabwe. So in the end, the government of Zimbabwe changed the law and allowed the dual citizenship. Now, how do you actually get a British citizenship? Now, first of all, I want to take you through my journey of how I got my British citizenship. Now, this is my path to British citizenship. First of all, I was a student. I did my nurse training and then I graduated. After that, I got my work permit and that was given to me for 5 years. After 5 years, I could apply for indefinite leave to remain. So I applied for indefinite leave to remain and I was given that BRP card. I understand things have changed and they keep changing, but during that time, you were given that card valid for 10 years. But of course, that didn't mean that your status was only valid for 10 years. So even though your card would expire after the 10 years, your status remained. You remained with the indefinite leave to remain. It just meant that you needed to renew the card because you need the card as proof of residence when you're traveling and doing other things, even looking for work, as I understand. You need to prove your status. Even when you go to the bank, they may ask to see your status, depending on what it is that you're applying for here in the UK. So that card is to prove your status. It doesn't mean that when the card expires, your status expires. It doesn't expire. But as I said, you will need to renew that card when it expires for the purpose of traveling and carrying out some transactions here in the UK. So in my case, my BRP card expired after 10 years. Imagine I had it for 10 years. I still hadn't decided I wanted to apply for the British citizenship. I was comfortable with it because at the time it wasn't a problem for me. But when it came to renewing, I had to apply again for the card and I had to pay a small fee. I did it online, so it was kind of seamless at the time. But then it expired again, and this time, that's when I realized that things had changed. The process wasn't as simple and wasn't as seamless as last time when I renewed the card. And it was because of Brexit. A lot of things had changed. So that's the time I decided, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm applying for my British citizenship. This was silly. I could not just keep on renewing those cards. So I had to make the decision. This is the thing that actually pushed me. Another thing that pushed me was my desire to travel to more countries. I had been to a few countries with my Zimbabwe passport, and during that time, I had to apply for a visa. So that meant me pumping out some money to make that visa application. It also meant the time and the effort to go to the embassies to apply for those visas. Even though I had been to other countries without a visa, but still, I wanted to travel to more countries in the future. So because of this, I knew I had to apply for my British passport. And of course, the last reason is I just wanted to be settled because I had been here for a long time anyway. So it made sense that I would apply for my British citizenship because, as I said, I had been settled here. And because of the dual citizenship as well, I no longer had a reason. I no longer had an excuse not to apply for my British citizenship. So I made the decision finally to apply for my British citizenship. And one thing I'll say as well, if it is your intention to apply for the British citizenship, I need you to start thinking about certain things now. If you've got your indefinite leave to remain or whatever status that you have, and in the future you want to apply for a British citizenship, when you launch that application online, there's a lot that they ask you. It is a humongous application form. There's a lot that you need to fill in. They will ask you for all kinds of details. So that's why you need to have your paperwork in order. You need to have your old passports with you if you've got them. You need to make sure you've got everything because they will ask you for your mother's date of birth, where she was born, your father's date of birth, where he was born. They will ask you for the days that you traveled in and out of the country, the first day that you came into the country. They will ask you for all kinds of details. So you need to start keeping your paperwork. You need to start sorting out your paperwork right now. Keep your paperwork in a place where you can easily find the information that you need for when you apply for that British citizenship. And it's not an application form that you can fill in one day. That's one thing I'll tell you. You won't be able to fill it in one single day. So they allow you to do it in stages. And you can actually launch your application and you can keep it there for a while because they understand, they recognize the amount of work that you need to do on that application, because you need to do it correctly. Because as with any application that you make to the Home Office, if you make a mistake, it means you get rejected. So if you're applying for something as important as your British citizenship, then you need to take your time and do things properly. You also need to have witnesses as well to testify that you've been living in the UK for a certain amount of time and so forth. So you will need to go and ask those people for permission to stand as your witnesses, and they'll also need to fill out their parts as well, and you need to fill your part. So as I said, it's a long process. There's a lot of work that is needed. So that's something that you need to bear in mind. Just keep your paperwork in order. And as for criteria as well, in my case, this was my path to the British citizenship. But of course, there are different criteria. One criteria is you can apply for British citizenship if you were born here, but that depends on your parents' circumstances. You can also apply for British citizenship if you are stateless, meaning that you don't belong to any country. It happens for whatever reason, and again, it depends on your circumstances, on your situation. Every visa application is dealt with on a case-by-case basis. So really, you can't say because you did this and it worked, then it's going to work for another person, because there are other special circumstances as well that allows you to get a British citizenship or any other visa for that matter. So that's why I say every visa application depends on your situation, on your circumstances. This is why it is unwise to rely on social media, because the Home Office will look at your case individually, and I think it's a fair way to do things. So yeah, once you've launched your application online and it has gone through, then you simply have to wait for a decision. And one thing to mention as well is the expense. You have to pay a fee to apply for British citizenship. It is not cheap. The prices keep going up and up. So again, that is one of the reasons why you may want to do it sooner rather than later. If you want to become a British citizen, it's best to do it while you can, or sooner rather than later, because the fees keep rising. And once you're successful, the next step is you attend your citizen ceremony. So during the ceremony, you will need to take an oath. You will need to make a pledge, and you will be given two choices. There are two pledges that you'll be shown, and you will go through the pledges and you will choose which one you're comfortable with. So basically, you'll be taking an oath of allegiance and you need to swear out loud. And as I said, you'll be given two sheets of paper and you choose which oath you're comfortable with. You'll have to pick which one. I know which one I picked, so it depends on you which one you want to pick. Because as I said, you'll be pledging, you stand on your 2 feet and swear out loud, and then you sing the national anthem. So basically, that's the process. Once it's done, you'll be presented with a certificate of citizenship and you'll be given a welcome pack. And then the next step will be for you to apply for the British passport. You then apply and they'll send you your British passport, and that's it. That's you done. You are now officially a British citizen. So yeah, this is the process, and you need to take this vow seriously. In my case, I was actually surprised. I was quite surprised as to how emotional I felt during that ceremony. It actually got emotional, funny enough. I don't know what it is about that ceremony, but that's how I felt. I felt emotional, and I felt really committed to the vows that I was making, because that's why I said in the beginning, it's an important step. It's a serious step to take, because when you make those vows, you are pleading your allegiance to the UK. You are making a commitment. So that's why it is an important decision to make for anyone. And that's why it took me a while to take that leap, because for me, I take these things seriously. So yeah, you have to make a commitment, you have to plead your allegiance, and you have to sing the national anthem. You have to pledge to the King, King Charles. With that being said, we've come to the end of this video. As always, I hope you found this information useful. If you want more content like this and haven't subscribed, then consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment and share. I'll see you next time. Take care.